Welcome to Pure 1, Chapter 3. Moving on, next chapter. This chapter is about simultaneous equation and inequalities. Wrong page. So in this chapter, you'll be learning really mainly two things about one, simultaneous equation. Not that you don't know how to solve it. You should learn it how to solve them in GCSE, but also you need to know how to solve it in a calculator because you don't actually get any more marks in linear simultaneous equation by showing how to solve it. Then we look at quadratic simultaneous equation, which used to be a grade 8 or grade 9 topic GCSE, now becomes just easy stuff, that you have to know. And then you learn, well, on graph, not that important, but next important thing is about quadratic inequalities. You'll see it a lot in A-level maths, and they will expect you to know this off by heart. Okay, so there will be different chapters where you need to record this knowledge. So yeah, right, without further ado, today we are looking into linear and quadratic simultaneous equation. So if you have your calculator, get it ready because we're going to need it. First off, there are two ways to solve a simultaneous equation. The first way is by elimination, quite useful in GCSE, but not useful in A-level. And the other one is by substitution. The one in elimination is where you do the column method and sort of cancel out one variable, and then like a column method. But substitution one is where you make one variable subject and then substitute to the other one. So elimination not too useful. Reason being is your calculator can do the job for you. When you have to use substitution, it's more about the quadratic one. So the calculator, okay, so the calculator can do linear for you. What you have to do yourself is more of a quadratic ones. Right. So when it comes to quadratic simultaneous equation, majority of them requires substitution to solve. Majority, 99.9%. You can have two pairs of answers, but you need to pair them up correctly. So we'll have a look what we mean by that. So example, okay, elimination. So by elimination means we multiply the first one by 3, second one by 2, so we can have the same coefficient of x, or you can just multiply second one by 3, whichever way works, 3 by 2 is 6x, 3 times 3 is 9y, 24, times the second equation by 2, so 6x minus 2y equals 46. Next, to get rid of 6x, you do a subtraction. 9 minus 2y is 11y. 24 minus 46 using calculator is negative 22. So y equals negative 2. When y equals negative 2, substitute into one of them. Let's say we substitute into the second equation here. The second equation here. So 3x minus y, so minus 2 equals 23. 3x plus 2 equals 23. Subtract the 2, divide by 3, you get x equals 7. So the answer is 7, y equals minus 2. Okay, right, what about elimination? Well, elimination, you would have to make one variable subject. Now, why do we need to do both? To be honest, you don't have to do both. You just have to do one of them. In this case, elimination is definitely easiest, but just to make sure you understand the difference between elimination and substitution method. So in substitution method, let's call this equation 1, equation 2. So from equation 2, we're going to make y the subject. So I'm going to copy equation 2, but this time I'm going to make y the subject. So bring y to the right side, so 3x, and bring 23 to the left side. And the convention is to put the subject, the subject or variable on the left-hand side. So I'll rewrite as y equals 3x minus 23. Then I will substitute this into equation 1. So 2x plus 3y, 3x minus 23 equals 8. And then go on, expand the bracket, 3 times 3x, 9x, 3 times negative 23, negative 69 equals 8. And then 2x plus 9x, 11x, bring the 69 over, plus 8, 77, so x equals 7. Once we've got x equals 7, we can substitute into y, so y equals 3 times 7 minus 23, so I'm just substituting it here, so y equals to minus 2. Again, you'll get the same answer, which it should be, okay? Now, what if I tell you all the steps you perform in here are pointless? Pointless, pun intended, because you actually don't get any points, any marks. So this is a calculator. Okay, so if you go on a calculator, all right, you go menu. Now, different calculator, different setup. But if you use the A-level one, whether it's CG50 or ClassWiz, or in the future more powerful ones, should be somewhat similar, where you should be going to the one where it says equation and function, and then simultaneous equation. Oh, actually, am I showing the right screen? Hang on. Well, I'm not sharing the calculator. Let me share this now. I think you should see it now. Yep. Okay, sorry. Let's try again. So you go on menu, okay, menu, anything powerful, it should be something similar. Menu, and then go on equation function, and then equal, and then you go on simultaneous equation, number one. Number of unknowns, there are two unknowns, x and y, so press 2. Then they will ask you to put the coefficient of x and y. Now, be careful the order of x and y and the constant term. The constant term must be on the right side equal. So anyway, if we put it in, 2x equal 3 equals 8, the first equation. Second equation, 3 minus 1 and 23. Press equal again, the calculator gives you 7 and minus 2. So that's what it is in the real exam. In the real exam, if the question gives you this, you can just write x equals 7, y equals minus 2. You don't get any marks for showing how to solve linear simultaneous equation. Linear means the power is 1, all right? So practice question 1 and 2, you can either show it, I would say, use whatever method. Oh, actually, by substitution, sorry. Use substitution to do both questions, and then you can use your calculator, double check your answer. All right, pause the video, have a go. When you're ready for the answer, you can press play. So here are the answers for practice question 1 and 2. The final answer is in green, so you can look at the working out. But as I said, you can just simplify the equation and put them in the calculator and solve it for you. Okay, so in here I need you doing substitution because we're going to use substitution a lot in a quadratic one. So the elimination really has no use in A-level maths. Whether you do it in elimination substitution, as I suggested, or just use a calculator, I can't check anyway. So do whatever you're pleased to, but you should be getting these answers correctly either way. Right, next one, we move on to quadratic ones where the power of x is no longer just 1, and you can see there are terms multiplied together. This is where the calculator won't work. Okay, so to solve this equation, we're going to use substitution. We can only use substitution. Elimination won't work anymore, because for elimination to work, you must have the variable line up properly. But here you can't really line up you can't really line up the variable. So in here, I'm going to call this equation 1, equation 2. Now from equation 1, I'm going to make x subject, because if I want to do substitution, I first need to make one variable the subject. So x equals 3 minus 2y. Then I'm going to sub this into equation 2. So x squared becomes 3 minus 2y squared plus 3x. Oops, x. Now when I say x, I need to do substitution. So I need to do this x, I need to do substitution. X is 3 minus 2y. That's my substitution. Times y. 3xy equals 10. Be careful. A lot of students, silly mistake, would have forgotten to copy the y in. Hopefully that's not you. Then the first bracket, we can expand double bracket. In here, I'm going to use a shortcut. So 9 minus 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12y plus 4y squared. Next term, how do we expand this double bracket? Not double bracket. How do we expand this term? Now, 3 times the bracket times y. Think of this. 4 times 2 times 3, okay, it's the same as 4 times 3 times 2. I can multiply these two first, then multiply middle. So 3 times bracket times y is the same as 3y times the bracket. So 3y times 3, 9y. 3y times negative 2y, negative 6y squared equals 10. Now, some of you might be thinking, how do I expand this double bracket quite so quickly? To do the shortcut, to expand double bracket in the shortcut, okay, let's choose some numbers here. 3 plus, let's say 2, I want to choose a different number. 3 plus 4, actually 3 plus 5. X squared. To expand any double bracket, well, actually, let me change to the minus just to show you. To expand double bracket, the shortcut is do this squared, 3 squared, 9. 5x squared, 25x squared, all right? The middle term is 2 times these two terms. 2 times 3, 6 times -5, -30x, right? So 3 squared, 9, 5x squared, 25x squared. Middle term, do 2 times these two terms. 2 times 3 times 5, right? Minus 30. Anyway, so we can rub it off, just not to confuse people. Right, so anyway, here, once I've expanded the bracket, I need to collect the like terms. Collecting like terms means minus 6y squared plus 4y squared, minus 2y squared, and then minus 3y. 10, bring the 10 over, becomes minus 1 equals 0. They're all negative. Does it matter? Not really, because we know we're going to put in the calculator. So let me show you. So put in the calculator means menu. Okay, and then go with the equation and function again. And then this time I need to do polynomial. Degree is 2 because quadratic. Remember, again, you don't get any marks for showing how to factorize or solve a quadratic equation. The exam board expect you to use a calculator. So minus 2 is the coefficient, -2, -3, -1. You get minus a half and minus 1. So minus a half and minus 1. So minus a half and minus 1 is y equals minus a half or minus 1. Once you've got the y values, time to find the x values. So x equals 3 minus 2y. So x equals 3 minus 2 times minus a half, or x equals 3 minus 2 times minus 1. So use a calculator. 3 minus 2 times minus a half is 4. So therefore, x equals 4, y equals minus half. Make sure you pair them right away once you work out the other value, so you don't get a chance to do the mistake of mixing up the wrong pair. So in here, 3 plus 2, which is 5. So x equals 5, y equals minus 1. So what I'm trying to say is you don't mix up x equals 4 and y equals minus 1. And x equals 5, y equals minus a half. That doesn't work. Right? So, yep. If you're happy with this, next one is practice question 3 and 4. So make one variable subject first and then substitute into the other. So pause the video, have a go at the question. When you're ready for the final answer or the working out, you can press play. So here are the answers for question 3 and 4. For question 3, you should get 2 pairs of answers, x equals minus 2.5 and y equals minus 1.5, or x equals 2, y equals 3. And for question 4, you get 2 pairs of cert form values. Now, this could be quite common in A of maths. Just because they're cert form doesn't mean they're wrong. So question x equals 2 minus 3 root 5, or y equals 3 plus 2 root 5. Make sure you don't mix up the wrong pair. X equals 2 plus 3 root 5, and y equals 3 minus 2 root 5. If you got wrong, have a look at the answers below, the workout below, see why you got wrong. If you got nothing wrong, you got right, well done to you. So you can finish the video. That's the end of the lesson for you. But if you don't, let's have a look why. So question 3, thankfully, they make y the subject in here already. So I just have to substitute this into the first equation. So where I substitute y in this part, so y squared means x plus 1 squared. So 3x squared plus expand double bracket, x squared, 1 squared, 1. 2 times x times 1, 2x. Simplify the algebra, simplify collect like terms, put in a calculator. You should get x equals minus 5 over 2 or 2. By the way, put in a calculator to solve the quadratic. And then use the y equation to work on the y value. So y equals x plus 1, so minus 3 over 2, so y equals 3. Here comes the 2 pairs. Question 4 is slightly more complicated, where you have to make one variable subject. You can either make x or make y. I just make x subject in here. So bring the 3y over from the first equation and divide by 2. Now, by the way, if you look at anything that you know you've got wrong, pause the video and continue to work on from there. Correct a mistake and continue working from there. You don't have to listen to my explanation and then treat like, oh, I can't continue. You get a second chance. You always get third chance, fourth chance. That's the good thing about the video. Next, so you substitute in there, and then x equals 13 minus 3y over 2. So I substitute into equation 2. So x squared is where I do, so x squared. Okay, now when you square a bracket, you have to square the numerator and denominator. When you square numerator, where there are 2 terms, you have to put a bracket. Square 2 denominator is 4. 2 squared is 4. Okay, I didn't do anything about y squared and 78, so I leave them as they are. Next, I expand the numerator, double bracket, 13 squared, 169. 3y squared, 9y squared. In the middle term, 2 times 13 times negative 3y is negative 78y. If you're unsure using the shortcut, always do it manually, as in writing it out as double bracket 13 minus 3y, 13 minus 3y, etc. Okay, so you got this 169 minus 78y plus 9y squared over 4 plus y squared equals 78. There's an over 4. What do we do? Well, to get rid of the over 4, we can multiply every single term by 4. Multiply this term by 4, the 4 over 4 and 4 cancel out. Multiply this by 4, 4y squared. Let me use a different color. For 4 times y squared, 4y squared. 4 times 78, 312. Right? So hence there are 3 terms. Collect the like terms and let the calculator do the hard work for you. Just solve this simultaneous quadratic equation, use a calculator. The calculator should give you 3 plus and minus 2 root 5. I write them out as 2 answers because having plus and minus doesn't really help us in here. So write 3 plus 2 root 5, 3 minus 2 root 5. Then to find the x value, I can substitute into here. So do x equal, put as a fraction, 13 minus 3y over 2, and 13 minus 3y over 2. You get these answers. Then I pair them up correctly and write my answer as a coordinate, maybe. Right, and that's the end of the lesson for you. Okay.